the refugees. And so you have the major international organizations, including the United Nations in particular, that's bringing its expertise and resources to bear. As I mentioned a moment ago, President Biden asked our Congress for emergency support to include very significant humanitarian support to help Ukraine deal with the humanitarian consequences of this war of aggression against Ukraine, both within Ukraine itself, but also in the surrounding countries that are receiving refugees. So we're bringing our own technical expertise to bear, including here in the Republic of Moldova. We'll also be bringing resources to bear to help alleviate some of the burden that Moldova and other countries are carrying.
Mihaela Ursu, TVR, Moldova. A question to the Secretary of State. Which way do you assess the submittal by the Republic of Moldova of the application to join European Union, and which way the United States of America can help us out in this process? For example, could we expect maybe some support in order to strengthen our energy independence, which is a vital thing in order to have independence, true independence in our country?
Thank you. I, of course, can't speak for the European Union, but I can say that we very much support Moldova's European aspirations and welcome the work that's being done in that direction. This is the will of the Moldovan people, and we welcome the pursuit of closer ties, greater integration. But ultimately, of course, that process is up to Moldova and the European Union and its member countries. When it comes to energy independence, I think that's absolutely vital. That independence or energy security is actually critical to maintaining one's sovereignty and independence. And that's exactly why we are working to support Moldova in its efforts to build greater energy security and energy diversification. We're doing that with financial support to develop alternatives. We're doing it with expert support. As it happens, our new ambassador, Ambassador Logston, is an expert in these very issues. And so we'll be working very, very closely with Moldova, as we have been already, to help produce greater diversification, greater energy security, in the coming years. I think this is something vital to pursue for all countries, and we know also what can happen when any country is, and this is the case for many, overly reliant on others that prove in one way or another not to be reliable suppliers. So this is very much a focus of what we're doing together, and it's something we'll be pursuing very actively right now and in the months and years ahead.
Mulțumim. Acum îi voi da.
We'll call Laura, Laura Jakes, New York Times.
Good morning. Hello, Madam President. Thank you for having us. Secretary Blinken, given that the State Department has again urged Americans to leave Russia immediately, are you considering closing the U.S. Embassy in Moscow? And regardless, what is the Biden administration doing about the detention of American basketball player Brittany Griner? Was this a retaliatory move by the Russian government? And was the announcement of her arrest yesterday what prompted the new travel alert? And then finally, how seriously is the U.S. considering selling additional F-16s to Poland so that Poland can give its MiGs to Ukraine? And realistically, how quickly can this happen to help against the invasion? Thanks.
Laura, thanks very much. With regard to the individual you mentioned, there's only so much I can say given privacy considerations at this point. Let me just say more generally, whenever an American is detained anywhere in the world, we of course stand ready to provide every possible assistance. And that includes in Russia. As you know, and we've talked about this for a long time, we've been seeking the release of Paul Whelan and Trevor Reed for some time, both of whom are unjustly detained. We have an embassy team that's working on the cases of other Americans who are detained in Russia. We're doing everything we can to see to it that their rights are upheld and respected. We've also advised Americans not to travel to Russia. Similarly, we're advising Americans in Russia to leave. But from my perspective, in times like these, it's important that we maintain our diplomatic contacts, that we maintain the diplomatic support, particularly support that we can provide to Americans who may need it, and so that's what I'm focused on doing. With regard to the planes, a couple of things. First, just as a general proposition, over the past year, we've provided now more than $1 billion in security assistance to Ukraine, more than in any single previous year. We're in very active conversation with Ukrainian officials, with the government, President Zelensky, Foreign Minister Kuleba, whom I saw yesterday, and others, to get an up-to-the-minute assessment of their needs. And as we get that assessment, we're working on seeing what we and allies and partners can deliver. We're looking actively now at the question of airplanes that Poland may provide to Ukraine, and looking at how we might be able to backfill should Poland decide to produce those, supply those planes.